I would like to introduce our speakers today. We have Anna Lewicka and Andrzej Józefczyk from Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland. Anna Lewicka is Deputy Head of Regulatory Impact Assessment Department. She's a lawyer and a public sector manager with over 10 years experience. She oversees regulatory impact assessment and scrutiny. And Andrzej Józefczyk is a senior specialist. He develops legislative process tools to improve data-driven policymaking and enhance the efficiency of government operations. I'm very happy to have you. Thank you for joining, and I'm looking forward to your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Eva, for this warm words. We, as you said, represent the Department of Regulatory Impact Assessment and Analysis at the Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland. And while I'm speaking, maybe Andrzej will try to share the presentation with you. So we feel very grateful that our efforts and our work have been recognized, and we appreciate the opportunity to share our experiences more broadly with you, all of you. So the journey of developing our virtual assistant of the regulatory impact assessment process has been a significant learning curve for our team, and we are really excited to discuss both our successes and challenges we've encountered and talk maybe a bit more, if time allows, about some future perspectives. So thank you again for having us, and let's begin by going briefly through the roadmap for today's session. So our presentation is organized into a few key chapters that will take us from the current regulatory reality to a future shaped by AI. And first, we'll introduce our team. At the Chancellery of the Prime Minister, we want to give you a clear picture of the governmental regulatory landscape in Poland and explain the role of regulatory impact assessment in our legislative process. Next, we will address our key challenges. It's important to understand this background to see why we actually needed a technological solution in the first place. And then we will dive into understanding RAG technology and our system architecture and look at how we've built the knowledge base for our model. We will next move to the models in action section, and we plan to show you a video demo of how the bot works actually in practice and providing a first-hand look at the interface and its capabilities. Following the demo, we'll discuss a bit more about evaluation process, and finally, we'll present a user outlook for implementation, our plan for the future developments. And with this roadmap in mind, let's begin with the regulatory context in Poland. But before we dive into the technical details of the AI assistant, it is essential to understand the organizational backbone of our work. As I said earlier, we operate within the Department of Regulatory Impact Assessment and Analysis, and it serves kind of as an analytical hub for the entire Polish government, ensuring that every piece of legislation is consistent and accurate before it reaches decision makers. But who we actually are, our core mission is to provide analytical support to the Regulatory Impact Assessment Coordinator. And the Regulatory Impact Assessment Coordinator is a kind of a very important figure in the Polish legislative landscape. Its main task is to monitor the quality of regulatory impact assessment within the legislation process. And our regulatory impact assessment team is, as you can see on the slide, multidisciplinary group of experts, including lawyers, economists, and engineers. And our structure is designed to provide this comprehensible oversight, to say. There are reviewing teams that consist overall of 18 analysts, and these colleagues are the front line reviewing draft documents at every single stage of the legislative process. Then we have new tech and analysis team. Andrzej is part of it, and this specialized unit focuses on improving the quality of consultations and the legislative process using this cutting-edge technologies. And one of initiatives undertaken by this unit is actually a regulatory impact assessment virtual assistant that is being presented today. And of course, we have management and coordination personnel. So the governmental legislative process in Poland involves several distinct stages, and it functions through a series of review filters. The legislative journey starts by by preparation and programming process, where the leading ministry identifies a problem and prepares a preliminary regulatory impact assessment. Then the process is followed by review in the government programming board, where a draft is reviewed for entry into the government's legislative work list. And the regulatory impact assessment coordinator is, of course, a key member of this board and issues then its first formal opinion, to say. After initial acceptance, the project moves into a phase of interministerial agreements, consultations, and external opinions, where the draft is shared with other ministries and the public, and the regulatory impact assessment must be updated to reflect the feedback received during this phase. So the regulatory impact assessment coordinator also participates at this stage. Later on, optional specialized committees may review the draft depending on its subject matter, and after that, the prepared draft is then considered by the standing committee of the Council of Ministers, and it's a kind of a crucial final high-level review, and the coordinator provides his third formal opinions here, evaluating the draft after all previous changes, and finally, the draft may go through the legal commission before reaching the Council of Ministers for final resolution. So to give you a glance of how the regulatory impact assessment templates looks like, I would just briefly underline the regulatory impact assessment is a fundamental requirement in Poland, and it's mandatory for all normative acts, so to say bills and regulations since 2002. And we like to describe it as a kind of a quality filter where regulatory impact assessment serves as a mandatory gatekeeper for all proposed laws within the legislative process. So in our system, the regulatory impact assessment operates through formal opinions issued at these three critical stages of this process that I've already mentioned. To give you a sense of our workload in regulatory impact assessment team, in 2025 alone, our staff analyzed 9,500 documents, and this includes drafts, ministry comments, self-corrections, and new texts. And specifically, we conducted 3,247 formal analyses regarding draft documents and regulatory impact assessment, so to speak. And to look at the human side of this, if you do the math, our 18 analysts are reviewing roughly more than 3,000, as I said, draft documents every year, as I mentioned, which means each analyst is managing more than 16 to 17 drafts every single month. So it's a lot. As the pace of legislative work accelerates, and we're left with even less time to issue the detailed, high-quality opinions on regulatory impact assessment. And beyond the sheer volume, we struggle also with this, with the dispersed knowledge. So guidelines on how to conduct regulatory impact assessment are scattered across different platforms. And another problem is a high rate of job rotation in ministerial task forces. It means we are in a state of permanent need for regulatory impact assessment training. This is precisely why we came to a concept of a virtual assistant to act as a digital quality guardian that helps officials navigate through this complex methodology and ensure that the structure of regulatory impact assessment meets our high standards. So this tool is our practical answer to the challenge of transforming a heavy administrative workload into a system of automated consistency. So the solution is built around three core pillars, as you can see, aimed at improving the quality of our legislative work. First, there is a standardization of regulatory impact assessment procedures. The assistant is designed to promote the use of plain language and ensure the best practices are consistent, are in consistent formats, and they are maintained across all government institutions, and this helps kind of to break down the siloed knowledge often found in different ministries. Second is security and AI governance. In the public sector, trust is non-negotiable. We are ensuring safe and transparent use of AI through a dedicated trusted model. Andrzej will tell you more about it. Finally, the assistant delivers improved efficiency and quality. By streamlining workflows, we are reducing the daily administrative burden on our staff, and this ensures that every regulatory assessment is accurate before it moves forward. So ultimately, this tool empowers our officials to focus on the substantive aspects of legislation, while the assistant ensures the procedural standards are technical and technical requirements are met. And now I will give the floor to Andrzej to tell you a bit more about the product, the architecture, and we will hands on how the bot actually looks like and works.
Thank you, Anna. So I will try to give you better understanding, maybe what is a backbone of like technological backbone of our project. So let's jump into it. I will start with the PLLuM, so Polish large language model, and now I will elaborate, of course, about the model itself later in the slides. But as you can see on right now, this model is based for at least 5, but I know many more initiatives that is based on that language model. So not to mention mCitizen virtual assistant, which enable every Polish citizen to have connection with office tasks. Also, you have this PLLuM into information support chatbot in the Poznań and Gdynia city office. Our Ministry of Digital Affairs also have their own ministerial knowledge assistants, and our regulatory impact assessment assistance is also based on this PLLuM model. So what is it?
It's not a fruit.
It's not a fruit. Of course, it is at some point, but it's a large language model. It was large like 2 years ago, but right now I would say it's the medium one. But still, it excels in Polish language and administrative context. The goal was to provide a trustworthy, transparent, and domain-adapted AI foundation for public sector application. It was made and implemented and deployed by a consortium of leading research institutions, including Wrocław University of Science and Technology, Institute of Computer Science, Polish Academy of Sciences, and National Research Institute. The challenge, like this whole PLLuM idea was the answer for the challenge how to implement AI trustworthy in legislation and how to minimize risks of black box, because most of those AI models, they are black boxes that are deployed on the server like all around the world, and it's not easy to fix a bug when you are working with this model. You are having this capability of knowing why this model answers the way it answers. It's great thing to have when we are working with those models. So this PLLuM is the answer for that challenge. So PLLuM is tailored to public administration tasks also, and it's like the security of this application is guarded by the Ministry of Digital Affairs and their AI working group. And of course, we are using it into our pilot, into our project, and Anna will explain more about the governance human in control in our project. So here you can see the logos of main partners in the consortium, especially shout out to Clarin PL, Scientific Center of Wrocław University of Technology. PLLuM, it's not one model, it's the family of models. You can have the PLLuM in different sizes, depends on your deploy capabilities and your needs in your architecture. So from 4 billion to 70 billion parameters. The model itself have its own characteristic. The model base is more like all around one tool like GPT or Cloud or any other commercial model when you want to use it as a tool to do like everyday tasks. So base model is for that. You have the instruct. When you have this, the temperature of the model is lower, so you have very strict answers, and it's well suited to those tasks. And chat. This chat model can it's suited for like chat virtual assistants also applications. And most of use cases of PLLuM is into right now into RAG assistants, as I know. So probably you have the question in your minds: why the hell do we need another language model? We have so many right now, and we have the bigger ones than the 70 billion parameters. But the PLLuM advantage is not that it replaces all commercial models, but is better adopted for public sector workflows, and also it's controllable. We know exactly on what sources it was trained, so that's why it's not a black, and these sources were legal. So yeah, also important part, not obvious in this field. So yeah, it's well suited for Polish language and Polish administration. And a little bit about the architecture, not of the PLLuM, but our chatbot itself. So right now you can see the small brief diagram of how Retrieval-Augmented Generation architecture looks like. I know this is not a technical presentation, but I will dive a little bit deeper into this topic, because I think it's crucial to understand how it works and why it is important to use this architecture when you want to minimize the risk of hallucination. And in public sector, when you have the trustworthy tool, you need to minimize that danger. I don't know if you can see my cursor, or it's not visible.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, super. So the PLLuM, so the generator in this architecture, because like of course this architecture generates something, so it generates the answer. So the PLLuM sits here, so it's almost at the end of the chain, and as you can see, the user input, user prompt doesn't go exactly into the input of the generator. So the user input do not ask the PLLuM itself how to fill the first point of the RIA form. It asks the filter, and the filter is vector database. And the vector database is the place where we prepared documents related to the RIA form, and like every legal topics around the RIA. And in this we chunked the documents, the smaller parts, and each small part is a vector in this database, and the vector, they are close together if the semantic of these small documents is related to between them. So if the user ask or prompt something into our chat, the prompt goes to the vector database, and the vector database search for relevant documents to this question. So if the user asks how to fill the third point of the RIA form or whatever, the vector database search for the relevant documents that exist, and they are reviewed by our department, and the PLLuM generates the answer based on those documents, no on the whole knowledge that is have itself, like the model, but on those prepared documents that are related. So that's why he's not generating the answer based on the every knowledge the PLLuM knows, right? But only on this small part that we are helping him to give him a context with those documents. If you are curious maybe about that part, you can ask, of course, and I will try to explain you everything, but I will proceed further. So now I will focus on this knowledge database. So this is the main work in this architecture to prepare well this database, because this is like the brain, the heart and the brain of our system. So if something do not exist in this vector database, the model doesn't know that. So super important. We have our guidelines. So our work was to select, standardize, and of course updating our guidelines related to the RIA form. We aggregate the question and answers database. So we have the most frequently asked questions to the DORA analysis by officials creating RIAs. And we also have examples of the RIAs. Right now, the model right now do not have the feature of showing example of the RIA. We are in the process of creating this feature, but we are gathering and also the good examples of the RIA and really bad examples of the RIA, because we know that the model can benefit both on those two approaches. It can show in the future, it can show like the good example of the RIA to the user, and also search for similarities with the bad examples right now. Right. So if the user in the future work will put some part of the RIA and ask, okay, what can I improve on my work? It can be easily linked to the bad examples that we are already gathered, and of course our guides on that topic. And when we gathered all of these, we have to prepare it. So we have to split them into smaller parts, chunks. This is mostly my job to prepare those documents. Yeah, currently it's really important at this point to chunk these documents to smaller parts, but that parts have to be semantically coherent. You cannot like cut the sentence into the middle, because probably you will lose some informations. But it's not easy, because our you have the guidelines differs very much from the RIA example and from the easy question and answer. So the format of the document is really differs in our data sets, and that's why the content preparation is crucial, and it's not trivial
and very time consuming.
Yeah, it is to check if everything works. Yeah, of course. Okay. Let's go to the
most interesting part.
Yeah, the pilot video. Okay, so as probably you know, the RIA form in Poland is in Polish, so we prepared our model works in Polish, but I installed browser app to translate everything to English, just to give you the example of our work in English. But you have to be a little bit patient, because it's not works like perfectly. But let's go anyways.
You can see the screen.
Yeah, you can see our logging panel. So I'm right now logging into Clarin infrastructure, and you can see the main panel of their like deployment center. They deploy from this view. You have the access to a lot of their pilot and their working stages products. Yeah, and right now I will search for our model. So it's it's here, OSR, which means RIA.
In Polish.
RIA in Polish, so it's RIA bot right now. Yeah. Okay. So everything translated smoothly. You have on front panel, you have like questions you can ask to the bot, and they are reviewed. On the left, you have the history of conversation, and under the prompt window, you can choose generator in the architecture. So the default one is the Llama from Meta. It's open source, but I have changed it to the PLLuM to show you how it works. Right now I'm changing it to PLLuM. Question mark and go.
We started with the most basic questions, as you can see, and it handles it pretty well. The answer is generating in Polish, but if you just wait a second, you will see the English translations coming up.
Yeah.
Really soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think it's okay. So, oh, sorry, no, I have changed. A couple words of the can you stop? Okay, and a couple words of how this answer looks like, because as you can see, you have these sources. So at the bottom of the answer you have the parts of the documents, and the parts of the documents are linked to the parts of the answer. So this big paragraph is based on this document, and this document you can review here. So the question, the answer, you can link every but not every, but like one big paragraph with another chunk of the document. That's why it's not a completely black box. You can check why the answers looks like that, and it's really helpful when you want to prepare the database properly. Yeah, so
You can switch maybe to the more advanced.
yeah, right now only you can see the review of the source. Yeah, and we can switch.
As you can see, oh, sorry for that. We'll just wait about.
Okay, translation.
As you can see, the assistant handles highly specific questions regarding the estimated costs of implementing new regulatory tasks. So look at the results on the screen. The assistant provides the step-by-step instruction on quantifying costs, from describing the scope of each task to calculating labor intensity, and as Andrzej said, to eliminate the risk of hallucinations. The assistant, for every response, it identifies the data source and displays the exact fragment retrieved from the knowledge base.
Yeah. That's true. And also, what is characteristic for this architecture, that the risk of hallucination is very low. So when the model do not know the answer, and just simply answers that I couldn't find the answer to this question, and it's not easy to achieve that when you're using like plain large language model. They will try to figure out something. They will try to give you something, and for legal tasks, it's really sufficient. But
very risky.
Yeah, it's very risky. But you know, how many points are there in the regulatory impact assessment form? Like for the human, it's really easy to answer to this question because you can count it. But we do not place the explicit information of this answer, right? Or the number of. There is no information in our guidelines how many points are there in the regulatory impact assessment form, because for human it's obvious, right? Because we can count it. And in this model, it's that strict in not having it, not hallucinating enough, that you have to provide even the simplest parts of the information inside the model. So like this is the trade-off of this security. You have to provide very specific information into model.
It has advantages and disadvantages, and we wanted to show you that the bot can handle very complex questions, but also struggles with very simple for humans. So we wanted to share also some challenges that we are facing.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll manage to just to go past them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
maybe this is just a brief showcase on how the bot works.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and how do we evaluate such thing as a virtual assistant, because it has so many features, so many characteristics that can be evaluated. This is not also the trivial task how to evaluate the works, but we started with the simplest one, expert review. So the experts I mean our RIA department analysts, which are our domain experts, evaluate the assistant responses in the terms of usefulness. I will explain the term usefulness in the next slide. Also, we made up with the evaluation hackathon, and we evaluate our chatbot in a more technical data science related terms, such as precision and recall. And after those sessions of evaluation, we have our feedback analysis and error identification with the Clarin partners from Wrocław University of Technology to detect gaps and to improve in the certain areas. And we work in that loop, like identifying errors, evaluating, and creating new features and fixing bugs continuously. Only couple words on our user evaluation. I think is the most important part. If you are curious about the recall and precision, maybe the question and answer is the part of the meeting, is the part for that. But our analysis rate the chatbot answers on the 0 to 6 scale, comparing them to how they would respond themselves, where 6 means a fully equivalent answer to the question. And this is our latest histogram of the scoring of our chatbot. You can see like 3 clusters. The clusters around 1.5. The question was about the parts of the RIA form topics that were not represented in our vector database. So the chatbot could not answer the question. So the error was our lack of instructions into our database. We have the cluster around 4.5, and 4.5, if every answer of our bot would be around 4.5, I would be happy. We could at this point show the chatbot to the couple ministries, maybe to evaluate it on the different levels. So I would say this is pretty okay. And we have the cluster around 3.5, and it means that part of the answers they were not wrong. Like technically they were not wrong, but they were not full enough. They were not specific, and that means we have also the chunking was too broad. We have to make the smaller chunks and more, maybe not smaller, but more semantic coherent chunks to have our answers very cutting edge.
Yeah, I think that the evaluation methods could be a subject of other webinar. Nevertheless, let's look at the human impact of this technology. So for a public servant working in a ministry, this tool is designed to be a constant, reliable partner that guides them through complex process of drafting regulatory impact assessment. So our objective is to bridge the knowledge gap. So as we mentioned earlier, one of our biggest challenges is high job rotation. With ministerial tasks, people move to new roles. So the virtual assistant will give every user, regardless of their experience level, kind of an instant access to the same high quality and validated knowledge and good examples on how to conduct the regulatory impact assessment. And we're also moving from procedural burden to critical analysis in the current system. As I said, analysts spend a significant amount of time on checking if the regulatory impact assessment form is complete or verifying specific methodological guidelines. So the assistant transforms this experience. That is why the ultimate goal is to free up human expertise by automating the process. We will allow our experts to concentrate on what actually matters, the quality and the real world impact of the legislation that they are drafting, that they are creating. So this isn't just about making work faster, it's about making it actually smarter across the entire government. We want to reach a point where the official feels supported by a system that prevents errors before they happen, making the process of evidence-based policy not just a requirement, but a kind of a streamlined part of their professional growth. So one of the, Andrzej actually mentioned it, one of the most critical questions we face when implementing AI in government is how we ensure that bot doesn't give advice based on last year's rules. In regulatory environment, guidelines and best practices are constantly evolving. To address this, we've established this four-element knowledge governance framework, as you can see on the slide. And it is designed to ensure that the assistance remains a single source of truth, so to say. So at the heart of this framework is regulatory impact assessment coordinator appointed by the Prime Minister, and the coordinator acts as a kind of a final analytical authority. In our governance model, only the coordinator has the formal power to approve new good examples of RIA to be added to assistance brain, as you said, decide which instructions are outdated to prevent the model to perpetuate past practices that no longer meet current standards. We are also countering institutional memory loss. So this level of oversight is specifically designed to counter the high job rotation we see in ministerial task forces, analytical task forces, by systematically capturing validated expertise and feeding it into assistance knowledge base, which turn individual expertise into so-called institutional memory. This is that will be available to every new official starting from day one. So to support this, we are launching a centralized public repository of regulatory standards called BARWA. The name is derived from the initials of the Polish name for the repository, and this website will serve as the assistant primary textbook covering public policy design and evaluation methods, step-by-step legislative process, and the instructions for the regulatory impact assessment methodology. Also a comprehensible toolbox for quantifying regulatory aspects. So this is not an automated process where the AI just scrapes the internet. It's a kind of, as Andrzej said, human in the loop system, where our analysts at the department constantly identify knowledge gaps, such as missing legal acts, and work under the coordinator's supervision to fill those gaps. And short knowledge governance ensures that the virtual assistant doesn't just provide an answer, but provides the authoritative coordinator approved answer. This is how we build actually trust and ensure that our digital tools always reflect the highest standards. Now that we have walked you through the brain of our AI assistant and how we evaluate its performance, let's look at the strategic path we are taking to bring this tool to every official's desk. To do so, we've planned 5-stage implementation strategy to ensure it is both legally sound and practically useful. So our journey, as Andrzej said, began with the deep dive research phase. We didn't just look at the technology. We explored the applicability of RAG for regulatory impact assessment use cases. It was the time when our needs coincided with the growth of AI architecture in Poland, and when Polish researchers create the Polish large language model called PLLuM, but Andrzej have already elaborated on that. And the stage 2, once we've created the foundation and answer for most crucial questions, we moved into the pilot project phase. This was kind of our proof of concept, the moment that we've proved that the PLLuM model could actually be adequate for our purposes, and we collaboratively developed the first working prototype. So we are currently in the 3rd stage, as you can see, testing and tuning, and this is perhaps the most critical phase. Based on the insights from our evaluation hackathons, we are fine-tuning the architecture. As we discussed earlier, we were specifically focused on improving the retrieval module and adjusting our chunking methods to eliminate the verbosity and ensure that the bot doesn't miss key documents. So the critical element of our implementation strategy is the integration of this tool into existing infrastructure of Polish government, the bot into the electronic document management system, which is a kind of a standard platform used by every public administration office in Poland. So this is a significant step, because it means that the AI advisor will be available exactly where the work happens. So when the officials begin drafting the documents along with the regulatory impact assessment to initiate the legislative process, they will have kind of an easy access to AI guide right within their internal workflow. So following this integration, we will proceed with the pilot rollout across various ministries, and the final destination is the full production release. This isn't just about flipping a switch. A production version in government must be supported by continuous learning and some enhancements. So it will be a living system that stays updated. Just briefly, our strategic vision is that the regulatory impact assessment is not just a standalone tool, but kind of a puzzle piece in much larger interoperable e-legislation ecosystem. And we wanted to just show you that we are moving away from isolated database toward a system of data exchange across all public administration systems. This interoperability will significantly reduce the duplication of work by ensuring that key regulatory information can be used and shared between different institutions. As we look ahead, we see kind of a clear and ambitious development path for our virtual assistant that will move it from a support tool to end-to-end digital partner for kind of a smarter rule making, to say. And to turn this vision into reality, we defined kind of a scope of planned changes to our national legislative infrastructure. This transformation is built, amongst other, on implementation of a simple system. It's the electronic system for identification and moderation of legislative work, and this will be our core tool to manage and track legislative processes from start to finish with full digital traceability. Maybe we'll have next year an opportunity to share this work with you. It acts as a kind of a comprehensible tool for scheduling and monitoring legislative work, and it includes built-in editors for both legislative applications and regulatory impact assessment force. And crucially, Simple will serve as a central data hub for legislation processes, feeding this information via API to other government systems. We are also performing a major modernization of government legislative process service. This is a collaborative effort with the Ministry of Digital Affairs and the Center for Information Technology in Poland to ensure our systems are digital ready. And we are enhancing also the public portal of legal information with new functionalities to make regulatory data more accessible and useful for everyone. So we have a clear timeline for this roadmap, and we are hoping to complete this major phase by 2027. Okay, when it comes to our future development plans, just briefly, in our next phase, the extended version of the tool will evolve into a sophisticated validation system. Instead of just helping you write. It will act as a final quality guardian before submission, and it will automatically check the completeness, the plain language, the accuracy of burdens. Perhaps the most exciting extension will be in the area of public consultations. So currently, as you can imagine, analyzing thousands of citizens and stakeholders' responses is a slow manual process, and it can delay legislation. So the assistant will eventually enable the automation of some high volume tasks, such as categorize consultation responses by topic or stakeholder groups, so generating summary reports and providing real-time consultation statistics for decision makers. So maybe in the future supporting analysts in preparing some validation arguments, which help justify the final regulatory choices. As I said earlier, beyond the regulatory impact assessment itself, our vision supports this broader transformation in e-legislation, and we plan to, integrate the assistant with this interactive web editor, as I said, that will help verify the technical correctness and legal compliances of the regulations as it is being written. So finally, one of our most ambitious vision is to create a version of this tool available to every citizen, and this would allow any member of the public to ask how this proposed law changed my daily life. How will this change my daily life, and receive a clear, comprehensible answer. So this is the ultimate step in strengthening transparency and trust in policymaking process. So I think that this will bring our webinar to a close. So let me just briefly reflect on the journey we've shared today. For us, the regulatory impact assessment virtual assistant is more than just a technological experiment. It's kind of a shift in how we approach the quality of law in Poland. So first and foremost, this was a collaborative effort, as Andrzej said. The decision to use RAG architecture was made in close consultation with the Ministry of Digitalization. And as Andrzej also said, the model itself is a result of this power collaboration with research institutions, including Wrocław University of Science and Technology. And this partner ensures that our tools are not only cutting edge, but also secure and sovereign. So our journey has taught us that successful digitalization requires balancing these two perspectives from the top down, that we learned that you must always have a plan to see this broader perspective, searching for the support of decision makers. This is essential to navigate funding and the necessary logistical arrangements, but looking from the bottom up also, we've learned that we must stay close to this real operational problems. That we designed this tool with users, not just for them. So taking practical low-level, constraints seriously to just ensure that the solution can actually scale. And moving just briefly to the second pillar, through our testing and evaluation, we've proven that the RAG technology provides these essential ingredients for this better regulation. So to say, accuracy, transparency, and consistency. And last but not least, this architecture is kind of designed with the human in the loop approach. And as I said earlier, it transforms the administrative burden into automated consistency, just to allow our analysts to move away from procedural tasks to focus on critical analysis. And ultimately, the regulatory impact assessment virtual assistant is intended to drive this interoperability and efficiency. Our goal is to use connected digital tools to enable policymaking that is smarter because it's evidence-based, faster because it's reduced our workload, and more transparent by making regulations clearer and more accessible. And with this, I thank you.